Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out an incredibly spicy pick for the Open Ultra League, Quick Attack Zamazenta. Zamazenta is a pure fighting type Pokemon with the moveset of Quick Attack, Crunch, and Close Combat. Quick Attack offers significantly more fast move pressure than Snarl, with fairly similar energy generation. I ran Zamazenta as the safe switch, and honestly, had a lot of success with it, climbing almost to the global leaderboards. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Quick Attack Zamazenta in action in the Ultra League. Hopping into the first match, picking up a tough lead, Nidoqueen into Escavalier. Escavalier is a core breaker for this team, so I'm going to have to stay in here and try and play this out. They're going to fire off the drill run, I am going to respect it with a shield, and then I'm going to go for a Poison Fang bait, hoping to try and grab a shield. Poison Fang gets a shield, opponent save switches into Giratina. I'm going to farm up, bank an Earth Power for later, and then bring in Scrafty. Even though this is a Dragon Breath Giratina, in the one shield, Scrafty still does quite nicely here. They're going to fire off the Dragon Claw, and I'm going to return fire with the Foul Play. This will do a lot of damage if it lands, which it does, getting the Giratina below half health. Giratina is going to fire off another Dragon Claw. I will be able to survive this, no problem. Scrafty able to reach the Foul Play on the CMP tie. I'm going to fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play does get shielded, and honestly, this is perfect. I'm just going to let the Scrafty go at this point, because if I shield it, they were just going to farm me down anyway, and I'm going to bring in Zamazenta. Zamazenta going for the Crunch, but my opponent makes a very nice catch, as they're able to catch the Crunch onto Walrein. Honestly, that is fine by me. I'm just going to continue to farm up here. They're going to fire off the Icicle Spear. I'm going to be able to tank the Icicle Spear no problem, as they fire it off. And then I'm going to farm up to the back-to-back moves and fire off the Close Combat on the CMP tie. Close Combat will easily take out the Walrein, and I have the Crunch loaded in case they bring back in the Giratina, which they do. Crunch takes out the Giratina. All they have left is the Escavalier in the back. One Earth Power is not going to be enough to KO here. So I'm going to fire off the Poison Fang and then go for the Earth Power. And since I have debuffed them, this should just about be enough damage to KO. Earth Power plus a Poison Jab takes them out, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Nidoqueen into Trevenant. Honestly, I really like this matchup as the Nidoqueen. So long as I commit one shield, it's a pretty comfortable spot to be in. They're staying in, so I'm going to go straight for the Poison Fang. Poison Fang able to land. Trevenant overfarms quite a bit, and they're going to fire off a move. I tank any one move, so I do let it through. It ends up being a Seed Bomb, and I'm going to fire off my second Poison Fang just before they reach the Shadow Ball. Poison Fang, barely not enough to KO, and they're able to reach the Shadow Ball. I will commit the shield and farm down. In the back, they have Walrein. I pivot into Scrafty, and their final Pokemon is revealed to be Tapu Fini. Not the greatest matchup in the world for Scrafty, but Scrafty does put in work here with an energy lead. They're going to continue to farm up, trying to reach the Moonblast. I'm able to reach a second Foul Play. Foul Play gets a shield. My opponent is recognizing that if I switched in Scrafty, I probably have another response to Walrein, so they have to protect this Tapu Fini. They go for a Surf Bait, which is incredible. I'm going to fire off the Power Up Punch. Power Up Punch gets the second shield. Scrafty is going to be able to reach the Foul Play, and we have almost taken out a Tapu Fini with our Scrafty. They're going to bring in the Walrein, and I'm going to respond with the Zamazenta. They do have a lot of energy here. I'm going to let this through. Just the Icicle Spear. I am going to be able to win the CMP tie to the Close Combat. Close Combat takes out the Walrein. Zamazenta quick attacks down the Tapu Fini, and that is a good game. Nightmare lead in the next match, Nidoqueen into Shadow Swampert. Immediate save switch into Zamazenta, and my opponent responds with Talonflame. I'm going to farm up and fire off the Crunch just before they're able to reach a move. Crunch deals a nice amount of damage, and at this point, I'm going to call a Flame Charge bait. I no shield, it's the Flame Charge, and now Zamazenta can get to work trying to force shield advantage. I'm going to fire off Crunch number 2. Crunch grabs a shield from the Talonflame. Talonflame tries to farm down, and Zamazenta reaches a third Crunch. Let's go! Zamazenta able to grab both shields from the Talonflame. In comes Nidoqueen. This Talon does have a lot of energy. I'm going to let this go. It's a Brave Bird that deals a ton of damage. I try and go for the farm down, but they're barely able to survive and get off a last second move. That is unfortunate. And now I'm just going to trust in 2-Shield Scrafty to try and win this game. They bring in the Shadow Swampert. I'm thinking that it could be something like a Cresselia in the back, so I'm going to try and save shields if at all possible here. I'm going to fire off the Foul Play. This is going to do a lot of damage if it lands. Foul Play, able to land, and they're going to fire off another move. I do need to start shielding. I'm going to shield up the Hydro Cannon and go for the counter down. In the back, they have Scrafty, and unfortunately, this is game over. They just have too much HP for me to be able to counter down. They're able to reach the power-up punch. At this point, I just let it go. I recognize the game's over, and unfortunately, we do lose the match. Hopping into the next match, leading Nidoqueen into Talonflame. With 2 fighters in the back, definitely happy to catch the flyer on the lead. I'm going to farm up 7 Poison Jabs and fire off the Poison Fang just before they're able to reach a move. Poison Fang is going to do some solid damage. Talonflame fires back with a move. I'm going to call the Flame Charge bait, and it is the Flame Charge. That's huge. I'm going to fire off a second Poison Fang, continuing to apply pressure onto the Talonflame. Poison Fang lands, opponent safe switches into Wall Rain, and I have a phenomenal response in Scrafty. Scrafty is just extremely comfortable in this matchup, especially against the non-Shadow Wall Rain. I'm going to fire off the power-up punch here, and then I'm going to try and counter down. Although if it looks like they're going to be able to reach a third Icicle Spear, I am actually going to fire off a second power-up punch, just because I don't necessarily want to take that damage. So here, I recognize they're going to be able to reach a third, so I will fire off one final power-up punch to take them out, and that way, I leave double boosted and with over 25% HP. We'll have to see what they have in the back, and it is Cresselia. I'm going straight for the Foul Play. I want to punish them if they decide to no-shield. Foul Play does get shielded. Cresselia is going to overfarm quite a bit and fire off a move. At this point, it's not worth shielding. I'm just going to let the Scrafty go. They fire off the Grass Knot, and I'm going to bring in Zamazenta. I am at an energy disadvantage here, which is a little rough. I tried to go for the Crunch, but it doesn't register, and they're able to fire off their Moonblast there. I'm going to continue to farm up. In comes Talonflame. I switch back into the Nidoqueen, and they're going to fire off a move. Honestly, this is perfect. I'm just going to let the Nidoqueen go and get energy on Zamazenta, because Zamazenta with energy is extremely deadly. I'm going to fire off the Crunch. Crunch gets the shield, and I'm already close to 2 more Crunches. I'm going to fire off Crunch number 2. That does a lot of damage to Cresselia. Cresselia is going to fire off a move. I'm going to commit my final shield on Zamazenta, and thanks to the energy lead, Zamazenta will be able to outpace Cresselia. Crunch will easily be enough to KO, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Nidoqueen into Obstagoon, an absolutely incredible lead. My entire team does very well against Obstagoon, so catching it on the lead is incredibly nice. I'm going to farm up to the Earth Power and fire off the Poison Fang. Earth Power not going to be enough to KO anyway, so my opponent is not going to commit the shield. They're going to save switch into Cresselia, and I'm happy that I have an energy lead, because my backline does not really want to face Cresselia, so I'm going to try and stay in here with the Nidoqueen and do as much damage as I possibly can. They're going to fire off the Grass Knot. I'm going to let that through, and I'm going to be going straight for the Earth Power. Earth Power is going to do a nice amount of damage if it lands. Earth Power able to land onto the Cresselia, and it's a CMP tie. I'm going to let this go, because at this point, this is low enough that I can deal with it with the Zamazenta. In comes Zamazenta. Zamazenta is going to fire off the Crunch on the CMP tie. Crunch is easily going to take out the Cresselia, but the opponent wants to try and get shields down. They're going to shield up the Crunch and fire back with a move. I'm going to shield up just the Grass Knot. In the back, they have Tentacruel. Tentacruel, fairly tanky in the Ultra League, but Zamazenta has pretty high attack. So even though Crunch isn't the strongest move ever, Crunch is still going to do a nice amount of damage onto the Tentacruel. Tentacruel goes for the Acid Spray. They're looking for the farm down, but Zamazenta is able to reach another Crunch. This is going to be getting them extremely low. Tentacruel is able to get the farm down, but not by much. In comes Scrafty, and they're going to blind throw their energy here. I am not shielding a thing. They go for the Scald. We tank that, no problem, and we're able to counter down. At this point, all they have left is the Goon and the very low health Cress. Back in comes Goon, they're gonna fire off a move. I'm gonna let it through. Opponent brings in Cresselia, but Cresselia is too low. Scrafty counters down. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Hopping into the next match, leading Nidoqueen into Shadow Drapion. Despite the type advantage, this is a tricky matchup for Nidoqueen. I'm going to let the first move through. Even if it is a crunch, not an Aqua Tail, it's still going to do a massive amount of damage. I farm up to the Earth Power, and I'm baiting with the Poison Fang, hoping for a shield, and I'm able to get the shield. That is huge. They're going to fire off a move. At this point, I am going to start shielding. And they are running Aqua Tail. That's unfortunate. I'm going to fire off the Earth Power to hopefully grab the final shield or knockout. And then I'm going to bring in Zamazenta. They're going to fire off a move right away. Aqua Tail not going to be doing a ton of damage, so I am going to let that through. And they have Charm, Alolan, Ninetales in the back. That's not great. I'm going to fire off the close combat. This will do a lot of damage and lower my defense to give them less farm. And from here, I'm going to be bringing in my Nidoqueen, shielding once, and farming all the way down to leave with energy to threaten that Drapion if they decide to bring it back in. They're going to fire off the Weather Ball. I'm going to commit the shield, and then fully commit to the farm down. I leave just shy of the Earth Power here. We'll have to see, do they bring back in the Drapion? I'm really hoping they do bring in the Drapion, but they do not. They bring in Giratina. I switch into Scrafty, and back in comes the Drapion. Drapion does have some energy, but thankfully, all they can do is hit for neutral here with Aqua Tails. And Aqua Tail, definitely not the strongest move ever. I'm going to fire off a Power Up Punch. Power Up Punch, not going to be doing a lot of damage, but it is going to boost up my attack. So that way, I'm going to be able to land a boosted Foul Play onto the Giratina. I'm able to farm down. I know Giratina does have some energy. I'm going straight for the Foul Play here. This is going to do a ton of damage onto Giratina. Able to get the Giratina very low. I'm going to try and reach another Foul Play here. This Dragon Claw is not going to KO. They're going to need another one. I farm up, but I fall just short as they're able to reach the move. That's going to KO. I do have energy on the Nidoqueen. I'm going to fire off the Earth Power. I need this Earth Power to be enough to take out the Giratina. Earth Power barely is not. I am just not able to farm down. Giratina reaches the last second Dragon Claw. That will take out my Nidoqueen, and I lose a heartbreaking game. Hopping into the final match, leading Nidoqueen into the mirror. This is always a tricky matchup. Do you go for the nuke? Do you try and go for the bait? And when your opponent throws, do you decide to commit a shield? This time, I decide to full send the Earth Power. Earth Power does get the shield from my opponent. I'm going to respect their move back with the shield of my own, and they full send the nuke as well. So I'm very happy that I did. I do win CMP in this mirror match, which is very nice. I farm up, but this time I am going for a bait, hoping for that second shield. But my opponent calls my bait. That is awful. I think I kind of have to call it in return. And they end up baiting as well. Oh my goodness. I'm going to farm up. And you know what? If at first you don't succeed, I am baiting again. Please shield. And they do. Thank goodness. Since they shielded, I'm feeling perfectly fine with shielding myself, and they full sent the Earth Power. I need to watch for the catch here. I farm up, they go for the catch onto Giratina, and I respond with Scrafty. And this is a Shadow Claw Giratina, so it's an even better matchup for Scrafty. They're going to fire off the Dragon Claw. That is perfectly fine. I'm going to farm up and fire off the Foul Play. Foul Play is going to do a ton of damage onto the Giratina, getting it below half health. Giratina continues to farm up, and they're going to fire off another Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw, not going to be doing a whole lot. Scrafty is notoriously tanky. I'm going to fire off another Foul Play. This is going to get the Giratina incredibly low. Giratina barely able to hang on and reach one final Dragon Claw. That's going to get them quite low. Scrafty able to farm down. Opponent brings in Obstagoon, and they're going to try and go for an aggressive farm down. I'm going to fire off the Power Up Punch. That does quite a lot of damage. They're able to farm me down. I bring in Zamazenta, and they bring in Nidoqueen, and they're going to fire off their energy. This should just be a Poison Fang. I'm going to bank the close combat, switch back into my own Nidoqueen, and vaporize them with the stored Earth Power. Earth Power takes out the Nidoqueen. Back in comes Obstagoon. At this point, I want to finish the game with Zamazenta. So I am not going to throw my energy. I'm going to let them take me out because I have the close combat loaded on Zamazenta. In comes Zamazenta. I am able to fire off the close combat. Close combat is massive overkill on the Obstagoon. And that is a good game. All in all, I had an absolute blast running Quick Attack Zamazenta. Zamazenta on the save switch ended up pairing very nicely with the powerful Nidoqueen Scrafty core, as Zamazenta was often able to grab shield advantage and bait out some of Scrafty's worst counters, so that Scrafty was able to close in the endgame. Quick Attack is a definite improvement for Zamazenta, but due to Zamazenta's lack of bulk, I feel like it does hold it back from true meta relevance. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.